All right. Reset, replay. We've got Michael Fabber here. He is my coach, Unleash You, family, community. You're still on mute. And we are going to really dig in and talk about how he has been able to create a community of like nothing but heart and love and man, just a group of badass like people just doing it, but with so much love. So if you're there, say hello, tune in, share. What did she say? Did the live feed crash? We should be. Oh, Julie said. So now we got people messaging saying, did the live feed crash? It should be on. Yeah, we're still on.
Tell them we're back.
We're back. We are back. We are back.
Oh yeah, they're starting to come in. You got this.
There we go. We are back. Okay. There we go. We gotta tell everybody, share it. Share, share, share. Now everything, okay.
Sharing is caring. Tell them sharing is caring.
So we'll let everybody kind of float in and I'll get back on. So yeah, Michael Fabber, we got Unleash You. Your name has been thrown around by many of the guests on today, and you definitely make an impact in so many lives. So how? Tell us how.
One, you're hilarious. I love the way you introduced me. You're like Michael has no talent, but he does have a lot of heart. He's really built this thing with a lot of heart. I don't know what else he does, but this dude's got heart, right? I'm like, that, I'll take it. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's good. I appreciate that.
Well, you know what else I know about you is you don't really give a shit about all the title stuff. So
yeah. No, I really. I used to love when people were like, "This is the best in this space," and I'm like, by whose perspective, right? Like, whose perception and perspective are we using to say I'm the best, right? And especially someone from the marketing world, right? Where it's like you use those terms all the time to try to bring attention, right? Like, you ever been to New York City? I love that in Elf, they make fun of New York City where they're like, go try the best coffee. And it's like everyone has the best coffee in the window. And it's like, I've tried 137 cups of the best coffee, all in different places. Right. But so I love when you were saying that. It's like, he's got heart. I'm like, you know what? I'll take it. Because there are some times where I'm like, that might be all I'm good for today, is that I got heart. Right. And so the way you introduce and then just made me laugh and smile. I love it. And that's what I love about you, is that you find a way to definitely always find through my netting to say something where I'm just like, I'm going to lose my Spartan reserve right now and start laughing, or have some sort of deep conversation while trying not to have a deep conversation.
Yeah.
I love one of the first times I talked to you in person. I was like, hey, Helena, how are you? You're enjoying your meal. I won't bother you. And you were like, yeah, whatever you say tomorrow, the answer is yes. Like, so I just love your personality and how like fully committed you are to what you seek, and just believing in being there and being part of it. All right. And to think 24 hours in a row on Facebook Live with numerous different speakers. Right. I saw the list. It was crazy. I was telling you when we weren't online about how I was listening to more and more of the speakers and getting more and more tight. Like, wow, you better deliver. Like, this isn't something typical. Like, this is something bigger than normal. So you have to really bring it. So then I started getting tight because I was like, oh my God. Right? Like, am I going to bring? I felt like a rookie speaker again. I was like, how do I speak? Like, what do I say about this? Everybody's just like, just use words, bro. I'm like, oh, okay. Right. But to think like you put this on, right? Like all the people in the room, all the speakers, right? Like you talk about building a community, you're doing it, right? Like you got it. It's you, because of you, everyone is here, either listening, speaking, both, right? Because of you being willing to do this. First of all, like I love this because this is lunacy, right? Like who's like, I'm going to go live for 24 hours straight on Facebook. And why? All right. All right. And you're like, just to bring hope. And I'm like, that is freaking awesome. Right? Just to bring hope. Like you talk about heart, but that's heart. Like why this was started was because a lot of people around me were always negative about entrepreneurship, starting your own business, being in business, servant leadership, impacting others. It was all like literally people in my family are still like, when are you going to get arrested for what you do? I'm like, what? I'm like, what? Right? Like I'm not 18 anymore. Like I'm not going to get arrested at all. And it was all around. It was so hard to maintain that shield that we have, right? That armor that we have about doing something that's not typical and being willing to go for it, while all those voices are like, no, you're dumb. No, this is bad. This will fail. This will fail. This will fail. Right? And they like prey on your fears. So no longer do you have those voices. You have this interior dialogue that's just destroying you at times, right? I always do a poll when I speak, especially to younger people, and I say, like, how many times have you said, oh, I'm so dumb? Right? And people will be like, oh my God, right, countless. I'm like, how many times have you said you were so smart? Right? And they're like, never. I'm like, well, that's a problem, right? Because you might believe you at some point, and that's scary, right? Like, I'm not good enough. Right? That's why that conversation is always weird. I'm like, you're good enough to be exactly where you are right now. 100%. You're good enough for that. Now you're capable of being even more. Sometimes we got to grow to that though, right? Like we don't achieve goals, we grow to goals, right? And there was so much naysay, there was so much negative that I was just like, man. And then I started investing in masterminds and communities and events, right, in the room. And I was joining everything. And I was being insane. I was just like, I'll join. I'm in. I got that. Now I'm in this. And one time I was in like 17 different groups in 1 year. And I was just like, all right, there's a meeting on Tuesday morning, Tuesday evening, Wednesday afternoon, Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon, Saturday night. I'm like, I don't have a Saturday anymore, right? And I was just like, hold up, like this, I'm not going to be able to do this effectively. So let's start really going through each community group, right? Mastermind coach, right? Dive into every one of them and be like, these are the pros and these are the cons of each. And it was almost sad when we got to the end, because it was like something that I was dying to have was missing. And that was that community aspect, togetherness, like you matter. It's not about just that person's greatness, right? It's like one of the reasons why we had the big turnover from CMF to Unleash You Now, right? In 2017, everybody's like, you wrote your own resignation letter. That's really weird. I'm like, it is. I wrote my own resignation letter to my own company. I didn't know that was a thing, but I was like, we're going to find out, right? Like, see what they tell me. Worst case scenario, they say no. I'm in the same position I'm in, right? So I'm like, I'll try it, right? And one of the big things was I studied so many people, like John Maxwell. We're both JMT DNAs, right? John Maxwell, Tony Robbins, right? Like I went through Eric Thomas's. I went through so many individual people's trainings, certifications, all their communities, and it was that one person. And then everyone else, right? And I'm not knocking them at all. They're great. They're all like, they're pretty amazing people, not just amazing speakers. But the thing was, I didn't want another thing where like everybody was like Michael Fabber, right? Because I love the way you said a community full of amazing people. That's what I wanted. I wanted where the community could be highlighted, where people's individual greatness or what they were great for or good for could be highlighted, or what they were meant for, the things they spent countless hours to master their craft, that they could be seen for, and then also be able to find their people that needed that quicker, right? And that's one of the things I love about our community. I love about the people in it, and something that I have to always remind myself, right? It's not about having the most clients, right? When I was first got in the coaching space, we did over 400, I forget the exact number now, but it was over 430 one-on-one sessions that year. And like 360 of them were free. All right. So it wasn't like we were making crazy bank. I was just like, I'll do you free. I'll do you free. I'll do you free. I'll do you free. Right. Gotta think of a different way to say that. But it was just like, I'm like, yes, I'll work with you. I'll work with you too. I'll work with you too. Right. And I was like, look at all I can do. I can work with everybody. All right. And I was like, I mastered it. And listen, I spent, there was a lab coat on me for how much time I spent. I felt like that joke everybody makes, like, you're in your mama's basement. Like I wasn't in my mom doesn't have a basement. I wasn't in her basement. I was at the office, but I was just in the room all day long, just trying to perfect a craft, right? Just trying to be able to say I spent enough time that someone should give me any kind of resource in return for me working with someone, right? Whatever that resource is. I don't goat eggs, or like they don't have eggs, but you know what I mean. All right. And I have 5 goats. That's why I know this. Right. And but it was like whatever that is, whatever that resource that they're giving me, even if they're time, make it where I could deliver on that. Right. Because that's number one. Be able to deliver on what you say you do, or what you want to do, or what you can do for someone else. Because we're playing with people's lives. When the scariest thing in the coaching space is there is no standard. Yeah. There's no standard in the coaching space, right? So like anyone's like, hey, I'm a coach, right? Like I used to, there's a meme. It's like I didn't eat the brownie this morning. Now I'm a health coach, right? And it's like, oh yeah, I'm a coach too. And I'm a coach and pay me a bunch of money and I'll help you too, right? And like no one really knows how to help anyone. And I'm just like, what the, all right? And that's why so many coaches hate me, because I'm very honest about the coaching space. There's a lot of BS in it because there's no standard. There's no board. You get a license that you have to be able to defend. Like there's nothing. You're just like, yeah, there you go. Good luck. Like, oh shit. Right. And I know I've invested in some of these, right? Like I've invested in coaches that tell you the world, and then what they are is they were not very good marketers and now they're coaches. Yeah. Right. I'm like, I knew you from the marketing world. What happened there? It's like all those amazing coaches then went, they were all of a sudden crypto guys, then they were NFT guys, right? And I'm like, if you're so amazing at this thing, why are you so all over the place? Right? Like I know guys that were amazing at something, they did that thing. Right. So I really wanted a community where someone come in and be like, hey, I'm really looking for this. I'm like, cool. I know the person you need to talk to. Right? It's not, you need to talk to me. That's why it's not Michael Fabber Associates, right? It's, you don't need to talk to me all the time. There's other people that are better at this, right? What you're coming to me for, and I'm going to connect you to them. And then if you look at the Unleash You Now community, it's just amazing. It's amazing people doing amazing things, the way they serve people in so many different worlds. Right? Like, I mean, we have lawyers, accountants, right? Like entrepreneurs, coaches, right? Therapists, psychologists, right? Like it goes on. People that work a 9 to 5, right? Like people that are big on nonprofit, right? Like pastors. And like it's when you're like, who's in your community? It's like it's really hard to label, right? Like that's why I always say it's like empowering entrepreneurs, game changers, and movement makers. They're the people in our community. Right. And if you don't know what that means, probably not for you. Right. Yep. But yeah, it was just that when we were in so many spaces and I knew they were missing something. And what do us entrepreneurs do? If we know there's something missing, we go and solve the problem. So I just wanted to solve the problem. That's how we got here.
That's amazing. Because to me, it's I think when you step into a space where it is complete acceptance, then you're able to thrive. You know, it's like there's a level that you have taken off this expectation, this perfection. And I say that with like respect, because it's like, I'm okay to come in here and be a hot mess, and you're going to see the positive in it, and that helps me grow. And I think a lot of us step into these spaces like we have to show up perfect already. Like if we already have the answers, but why are we there in the first place? Like I don't, you know, and there's something about the community that makes it okay to come up and say, I'm a hot mess today, so help me out, you know?
Right. I think that's a huge thing too. One, show up as you are, but also when you're striving for something more, there's hot mess moments. Right? Like when you're striving to do something greater, it's not all together, right? One of the scariest lines, there's a couple of things that are red flags to me. All right. I'm not a big red flag guy, but there's a couple of things I already know that is a huge red flag to me. Right. And even for myself, whenever I say something like that, I'm like, whoa, listen. Like, because I think ego is used way too much now. I think something is confidence too. Like you can have confidence in what you do, right? Like you can know you're a badass and say it, right? Like I think we made humble now to a fault, right? Like we made it where like, if you ever say something good about yourself, like, whoa, Miss Queen, right? I'm glad you could fit through the door with that head, right? Like people start freaking out. And I'm like you can know you're good at something and it's okay. And the thing where it's cocky is when you're lying about it. When you're saying, oh, I'm great at that, when you know like you're not great at that, that's cocky. You're just saying I'm great at something because you believe you're that great, right? Like that's ego. I can do anything and be great at it. Yeah. I can't. All right. And there's a bunch of things we already know. I can't spell worth shit. So we already know there's a bunch of things I can mention I can't do worth a dang, right? Like, so it's that's not the thing. The thing is being able to come in and be like, that's not my area, or today's not my best day, right? Like today is a day where I'm growing. And growing days are normally messy. There are normally some stress in it. It's normally some pain in it, right? Like it's normally some frustration, right? Remember, there's primary emotions and there's secondary emotions. When people are like, oh, I'm getting so frustrated. Frustration is a secondary emotion. It's coming from feeling something else. And we turn into that because it makes it logical. And also we feel protected. It's like anger. Anger is a secondary emotion, right? But we want to feel protected. So we're like, I'm not hurt. I am angry, right? Because that hurt made me angry. Right? Like, oh, okay, right? Like, I get it. I spent most of my life in that phase, right? So I understand. Well, now it's like half my life, but whatever. I'm still trying to say I'm younger, but it's when we can the only way we can have true progress is coming in and saying, this is exactly where I'm at. A lot of our clients or customers will come in and be like, yeah, I make $100,000 a month. What? Like, if you made $100,000 a month, why are we having a conversation about how to start a business?
Yeah.
Right? Like your business is over $1 million a year. We're not talking about how to start it. We're talking another scale stage, which you already hit one scale stage, right? So I'm like, I can't help you unless you're honest, right? And I think one of the biggest differentials when people say, you know, why, like every coach on earth, certain clients are going to have more success than others. And typically when they ask that, I say that's nothing to do with me. That has to do with a couple of things. The person came in and was real with me, and then they implemented and took action and didn't stop because it didn't go their way at first. Right? That's typically how you'll get results. Right? Or at least the results you want. You can get the other results the other way, but we don't want those. Right. So it's like, how long, one, can you be very real about the space you're in, the position you're in, right? Rather than trying to make it like, you know, you and Grant Cardone are hanging out in the same golf course and you paid for him, right? Like, and also if you did, cool, I really don't care, right? It's because I've seen rich people in their life, right? Like we've seen it, right? In all walks of life, that happens. So when I was younger, money was the thing until I learned money wasn't the thing, right? It's like, you don't know what you don't know. I thought money was going to help me. And then what I learned was I was miserable with money. And it was weird. I was like, I don't understand. Right? Like, something's got to give.
Like, wait a minute.
All right. And then they're like, oh, we have a bunch of companies, right? And one of the things was, I'm like, oh, when you're your own boss, you got to be happy. And I was my own boss and miserable. And I was like, hold on. All right. So it's not money. It's not being your own boss. Like, I am not very smart, but I need to figure this out faster because I don't like being miserable. All right. And it's like, when we can show up real in that space and have those real conversations, we can get real answers. And when we get real answers, we can get real results as long as we're willing to do the work and consistently to be able to get that. Yes.
Real. It's all right there, you know, and I've learned that too. Coming in and being able to be honest makes a big difference. You know, when you can finally be honest with yourself that this is what is scaring me today, or this is where, you know, I think that that's a safe space. It reminds me of the fitness industry when people would tell me, no, I'm going to come and take your classes, but I want to kind of get in shape first. I want to lose a couple pounds. I'm like, that's why you come. You don't come already fit. Like, and it's kind of the same as the coaching space. Like if I were to come and say like, oh no, I'm, you know, I got it. Why am I there then? You know? And so just that permission to feel the growing pains, I think that you just have a way to just make it okay.
I believe everything in relationships is a two-way street, right? And one of the reasons you can say that is because how you walk into every situation, at least how you've walked into every situation with me that I've witnessed, right? And when you walk in that way, you can receive, right? It's people always, another red flag, right? I've done everything and I've worked with every coach and haven't got the results. Well, now there's one common denominator there. It's you, right? Like, why would I want to do this now? Right? This sounds miserable to me, right? So I'm like, when they say that, I'm like, oh, right. And first of all, if you tried everything, we were already have talked, right? Because I'm trying, all right? So we were already have talked. And two, like this, most of the strategies and tactics people teach us, and you're going to get me to an area where people are going to get mad at me. Most of the strategies and tactics people teach work, or they wouldn't be teaching them. They've worked at a time at least. I'll say that. Here's the thing. Does it really align with you? Because if the tactic or strategy doesn't align with you, you won't put the effort into it, right? Or the back into it that you would need to be for it to be efficient and to work, right? And then when doing it, how does it make you feel? Because if we feel like uneasy doing what we're supposed to love, now we start questioning what we're doing, right? We don't question the tactic or strategy, we question the whole thing. Oh my God, maybe this isn't for me.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So it's one of the things we do very well in this community is that we don't come in with a predetermined, this is what we're going to do, right? Like, let me hear, right? Let's all listen. And then we can now, okay, cool. This is an option. This is a principle. Now, these are ways we can accomplish that principle. What aligns with you, where you are, and right now.
Yep. And I have to say that a huge part of that conversation is showing up in what I am doing right now. So it matters. Like it truly does matter. And the growth that I feel I have had in a short amount of time. I mean, it's just like, I just can't thank you enough for that. So.
You are literally a pleasure, right? Like if the way you come into the situation, right? Like who you are to your core and the way you come in makes it easy or simple to get the result in which you see. Right? It's like you don't come. Some people come into space and they're like fighting it. I'm like, why come into space? Right? Like it's like you're coming into space for us to go forward, like you want to go backwards. And I'm like, I hate that. Right? Like it's like it comes in. I'm like, oh, right, like here we go. And it's like my thing isn't because what hat do you want me to wear? Do you want me to wear a coaching hat right now, strategist hat right now, consultant hat right now? Right? And then we could move forward that. Like some of the like one call with you was like the easiest coaching call I ever had. And you were like, you're amazing. I'm like, oh, okay. Right? Like, I'll take it because sometimes it's not that smooth.
I remember though, because it's like, I come because I'm coming ready. Like I'm coming, like feed me, whatever. I should say I come knowing that I will receive what I'm to receive. So we were on the one call and you said one word. I'm like, that's it. I'm done. Like that's what I needed today. Okay, peace out. And there we go. So
right. You literally were like, all right, cool. Good talk. I'm like, all right. I was like, she might hate me now. I don't know. Right. Like, I don't know. She might want to leave. I don't know. I don't know if it was like horrible or like, she's actually like, that's cool. I don't know.
Yeah.
But we're going to find out.
Yep. And here we are by me stepping into my divine. Here we are doing this thing that's absolutely amazing. So I do feel bad because it's like our time is already up and we had like all of that chaos, but it was awesome. I want to make sure I get everybody, you know, I don't want to lose where I am, but if you're up later and you want to like, you know, message and say, hey, I'm still here and I'm still there, that would be great. But thank you so much. Thank you, just for what you've created for so many of us. And I know I speak for so many of us that are even part of this right now, because like, it matters. You matter.
Listen, I love that. We all do, right? We do matter. And this journey is not meant to be alone. And there's people out there that'll embrace you, that'll love you, that'll push you forward, and that'll hold you accountable for the person you're meant to be, the person you are. Those are the people to find, and those are the communities to get into.
Love it. Love it. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right. We'll see ya.
Bye.
Bye-bye.